Chapter 1 The Beginning. Ahsoka was born on a remote rural planet, Shili, and after an encounter with a wild Raxir, she was declared by Gantika, the village elder, as a Jedi.
Jedi. Ahsoka is Jedi.
At 3 years old, she was found by Jedi Master Plo Koon and was inducted into the Jedi Order. Ahsoka was brought to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant and trained in the ways of the Jedi. At the age of 14, Ahsoka was sent to Christophsis by Master Yoda to be Anakin Skywalker's Padawan learner, much to the annoyance of Anakin, who did not want a Padawan.
No, there must be some mistake. He's the one who wanted the Padawan.
On Christophsis, Ahsoka and Anakin claimed victory against the Separatists. Ahsoka was reckless but talented, and had very similar traits to her master Anakin. Ahsoka also met Captain Rex, the leader of the 501st Clone Legion, who were under Anakin's command. Rex would perhaps be Ahsoka's most important friend, with the pair saving each other's lives multiple times over the following decades, during and after the Clone Wars.
Some things never change.
Chapter 2 The Padawan. In the early years of the Clone Wars, Ahsoka fought alongside Anakin, Rex, and Obi-Wan on many missions, from saving Jabba the Hutt's son, fighting Count Dooku's apprentice, Ventress, and battling General Grievous.
Sorry to interrupt your playtime, Grumpy.
Ahsoka seemed to care more than most Jedi about the clones under her and Anakin's command, often shouting in anguish when they were killed. This strong attachment to those she had fought alongside was seen as being unbalanced and too emotional by many in the Jedi Order. She also followed her master's view on taking orders from the Jedi Council as suggestions, often to be ignored, and not commands to be followed. This was no more the case when the Malevolence, a separatist heavy cruiser with a massive ion cannon, disabled Master Plo Koon's squad of fighters.
Brace for impact! We're losing all our power!
Plo Koon contacted Anakin and Ahsoka, and when Anakin's request to search for Plo Koon was denied by the Jedi Council and Chancellor Palpatine, Ahsoka spoke up against this decision, and was quickly shut down for speaking against the decision of her elders. And as was now standard practice for Ahsoka and Anakin, they ignored the Council and Chancellor and searched for Plo Koon anyway.
He's alive! I can sense it!
Ahsoka!
When all seemed lost, Ahsoka sensed Plo Koon's presence and piloted their ship to rescue Plo Koon, Commander Wolf, and the surviving clone troopers.
Hurry! Are you okay, Master Plo?
This is just one example of many where Anakin and Ahsoka disobeyed the Council's commands in order to save fellow Jedi or clones. From the Jedi Order perspective, Ahsoka was learning the wrong lessons from Anakin and was becoming too attached to Jedi and clones alike. Ahsoka would spend some time with Jedi Master Luminara Unduli, saving her life when she was attacked by Asajj Ventress.
I know. You told me to stay.
Well, as long as you're here.
And also Jedi Master Aayla Secura on the planet Maridun. Anakin Skywalker was injured from a preceding explosion, and Ahsoka, Secura, Captain Rex, and Commander Bly had to get Anakin some help from the local inhabitants on the planet.
People we're looking for live near giant trees.
When fighting alongside and learning from Masters Unduli and Secura, Ahsoka often came off as brash, and would often argue with the Masters regarding the Jedi Code and the contradiction that as Jedi they are taught to show compassion, but yet to avoid attachment.
As a Jedi, it is your duty to do what is best for the group.
The lessons learnt from Unduli and Secura would offer something different than the approach Anakin took with training his Padawan. That being said, Ahsoka's skepticism regarding the Jedi Code and the Jedi Council in its current iteration would only grow over the following years. Ahsoka was not disenfranchised with the Jedi as it limited her power, like Count Dooku, nor was she disobeying the Order's rules by having a relationship, like Anakin was with Padme. Ahsoka's differences with the Order's views came from a place of compassion. She wanted to save more and do more, and the juxtaposition to protect all those in need but not become too attached, was ultimately a square she could not circle from within the Jedi Order. Later on in the Clone Wars, during the Second Battle of Geonosis, Ahsoka met a key individual that would change and unintentionally save her life. That person being Padawan Barriss Offee. Ahsoka and Barriss were sent together to infiltrate a foundry, which was creating super tanks for the Separatist army. During their infiltration mission, the Padawans destroyed the foundry whilst taking control of one of the super tanks, resulting in them being trapped under the wreckage of the foundry they had just collapsed. Just before running out of air under the wreckage, their masters Anakin and Luminara Unduli found them in the nick of time.
I knew you'd come looking for me.
I never doubted you for a second.
On leaving the planet, some Geonosian brainworms were smuggled onto Barriss and Ahsoka's ship. These worms infected all clones aboard the ship and later Barriss Offee, meaning that Ahsoka was the only one not infected on the entire ship. Ahsoka managed to disable most of the brainworms by making the ship's temperature incredibly cold. Barriss Offee was temporarily released from the brainworm's influence and begged Ahsoka to kill her.
Kill me. Please.
But Ahsoka refused to and killed the brainworm as it emerged from Offee's mouth. This is just one of the many testing trials that Ahsoka had to deal with at such a young age, accelerating her maturity and experiences to well beyond her years. During the Clone Wars, Ahsoka often worked with Padme Amidala and would occasionally work with Master Plo Koon, who she admired greatly. Padme would perhaps be equivalent to an older sister, Anakin to an older brother, and Plo Koon as a father figure to Ahsoka.
You've adopted many of your master's ways, including a lack of subtlety.
Throughout the Clone Wars, Anakin would create his own Jedi trial for Ahsoka, where she would have to defend against multiple clone troopers shooting stun rounds at her from close range. Countless times, Ahsoka would fail the training and get stunned, as the skill and sheer amount of clones firing at her would become too much to overcome.
Again!
This tough training that Anakin employed would improve Ahsoka's close-quarter lightsaber and acrobatic skills to such a level that would later enable her to survive Order 66. Chapter 3: The Trial. Ahsoka would fight the Zygarian slave trade with Anakin, Obi-Wan and Captain Rex, help the Republic retake Umbara, return to Ilum to help younglings, including a Wookiee youngling, Gunji, to form their own lightsabers. She would fight Darth Maul, who had returned with mechanized cyborg legs, and had taken over large parts of the criminal underworld.
You shall watch and learn.
Ahsoka would also meet Bo-Katan Kryze on Mandalore and Lux Monteri, the son of Senator Mina Monteri. Lux even kissed Ahsoka at one point to distract Pre Vizsla, the Death Watch leader, who was growing suspicious of Ahsoka.
Am I interrupting something?
No, of course not.
Midway through the Clone Wars, Ahsoka, Anakin and Obi-Wan went to the origins of a 2,000-year-old distress signal and were transported to the ethereal realm of Mortis. Mortis was a world outside the known galaxy and perhaps outside of time.
What exactly are you?
We are the ones who guard the power. We are the middle, the beginning, and the end.
Many believed it to be the origins of the Force. Ahsoka was visited by a vision of her older self, who told her if she remained Anakin's Padawan, she may die, and that Anakin's attachment to the dark side would corrupt her if she remained his student.
Be warned. You may never see your future if you remain his student.
Although Ahsoka defended her master from the vision of her future self, it perhaps cemented the seeds of doubt that Ahsoka had with the Jedi Order. On Mortis, Anakin was tested by the father, daughter, and son, who were manifestations of the light side, dark side, and balance of the Force.
A family in balance, the light and the dark, day with night.
Ahsoka was corrupted by the dark side and then killed by the sun. But Anakin transferred the life force of the daughter, who embodied the light side of the Force, to revive Ahsoka, who in the process was removed of all dark side corruption. And the daughter's spiritual animal, Morai, perhaps a manifestation of the daughter, can often be seen with Ahsoka. Is the Morai now attached to Ahsoka, who has the life essence of the daughter? Or is the Morai the daughter herself, looking over Ahsoka, as the two are now inextricably linked?
Morai?
She's an old friend. I owe her my life.
The father, daughter and son, now all dead, caused Mortis to collapse in on itself, and Ahsoka, Anakin and Obi-Wan woke up back on their ship. Captain Rex says that they were only gone for a short moment, but for Ahsoka, Anakin and Obi-Wan, it felt like a number of days. All three remember the events on the planet, and the events on Mortis fundamentally shaped Ahsoka's future. Towards the end of the war, the Jedi Temple was bombed by Barriss, who had become disenfranchised with the Jedi Order. Anakin and Ahsoka investigated the temple bombing, and Ahsoka interviewed a temple worker and found out that his wife, Lita, was party to the bombing. Ahsoka interviewed Lita, but Barriss secretly used Force Choke on Lita, killing her and framing Ahsoka. And Ahsoka was imprisoned for seemingly killing Lita. Barriss continued to frame Ahsoka by leaving a keycard outside her cell. Ahsoka used the keycard to escape the cell, and then she saw multiple clone troopers lying on the ground, who had been killed by lightsaber cuts. Ahsoka fled the prison, being pursued by Clone Commander Fox, who saw the dead clone troopers and concluded that Ahsoka had killed them. Ahsoka fled to the underworld of Coruscant and teamed up with the now bounty hunter, ex-Sith assassin, Asajj Ventress. Barriss pretended to be Ahsoka's ally and betrayed her once again, leading Ahsoka to be captured by Commander Wolf.
No! Wolf, let me explain!
Admiral Tarkin convinced the Jedi that Ahsoka should be expelled from the Jedi Order and charged with the death penalty for her crimes against the Republic. Kenobi disagreed with this decision, and Anakin was tearing up the Coruscant underworld to try and find the real bomber who framed Ahsoka. The military trial began, and Ahsoka was defended by Padme, while Tarkin prosecuted the Jedi Apostate. In the nick of time, Anakin brought Barriss to the trial, where she confessed to her crimes. Following the trial, the Jedi Council, via Master Plo Koon, apologised to Ahsoka for doubting her loyalty and giving in to Tarkin and the Chancellor's demands.
You have our most humble apologies, little Ahsoka.
The Council went further to say that this event was Ahsoka's great trial, and that she had completed her training as a Padawan and was now a Jedi Knight.
Back into the Order. You may come.
Ahsoka thanked the Council, but feeling betrayed by the Order, she refused the Order's invitation to become a Jedi Knight, and announced that she would leave the Order.
I'm sorry, Master, but I'm not coming back.
Kenobi went to chase after her, but Plo Koon held him back. Anakin, shocked and deeply saddened by Ahsoka's choice, went after his old Padawan, and begged her to reconsider leaving the Jedi Order. Ahsoka acknowledged Anakin's belief and trust in her, when seemingly all other Jedi let her down, but she stated that she could not stay within the Order that turned their back on her in her time of need. Anakin said that he understood Ahsoka's frustration with the Council, and Ahsoka replied,
I know.
From Ahsoka's first meeting with Anakin on Christophsis to saying goodbye to Anakin on the steps of the Jedi Temple, her time as his Padawan had come to an end. Chapter 4: The Apostate. Ahsoka began her new life outside the Jedi Order in a Coruscant underworld, making friends with the Martez sisters, a pair of mechanics who mistrusted the Jedi Order because they had forgotten about the common people.
With the Jedi running around, starting wars, they've forgotten all about us.
The Martez sisters and Ahsoka left Coruscant and underwent a mission delivering what Ahsoka initially thought was medicine, but turned out to be spice, aka Star Wars drugs. During her time with the Martez sisters, Ahsoka learned of the practices that the Republic allowed to continue, or turn a blind eye to, such as slave trade and illegal drug running. Ahsoka and the Martez sisters, Trace and Rafa, were captured multiple times by the Pike Syndicate. When escaping the Pike's prison, Ahsoka ran into Bo-Katan, the leader of the Night Owls, a faction that detached from the Death Watch once Darth Maul took control of Mandalore.
I need your help. You and I have the common enemy.
Maul.
And Ahsoka agreed to help Bo-Katan take back Mandalore from Maul. On Mandalore, Ahsoka helped train the Night Owls and developed a friendship with Bo-Katan. Bo and Ahsoka requested the support of the Republic to assist them with taking down Maul. When communicating with the Jedi, Ahsoka used the codename Fulcrum.
Lady Bo-Katan and I have located the renegade Sith Lord Maul.
Ahsoka and Bo were met by Admiral Yularen, the admiral Ahsoka worked with throughout her time as Anakin's Padawan. And then she met Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, her old master.
Hello, Master. It's been a while.
Bo requested help from Obi-Wan and Anakin, but the two Jedi stated that the Republic was spread too thin, with all the other battles taking place across the galaxy, and that they couldn't join in with another planetary skirmish. After the meeting, Anakin brought Ahsoka to the ship's hangar, where Captain Rex and the 501st had painted their helmets orange, bearing Ahsoka's facial markings.
The paint job's a little crude, but we think it gets the idea across.
Anakin also presented Ahsoka with her two lightsabers that she had handed in when she left the Jedi Order.
As good as new.
It was at this time that General Grievous had attacked Coruscant with the Separatist army and had taken Chancellor Palpatine hostage. Obi-Wan said that he, Anakin, and their clone companies must retreat to Coruscant to free Chancellor Palpatine. Ahsoka felt once again let down by the Jedi, as they put the Republic's politics and the capital city of Coruscant ahead of saving Mandalore from Maul.
Right now, people on Coruscant need us.
No. The Chancellor needs you.
Anakin came up with a compromise, which was to divide the 501st into a new division led by Rex, who he promoted to commander. And Commander Rex's division would work with Ahsoka to free Mandalore from Maul. Anakin and Obi-Wan would say goodbye to Ahsoka, and it would be the last time Anakin and Ahsoka fought on the same side.
Anakin. Good luck.
So Ahsoka, Commander Rex, and his clone battalion, Bo-Katan and the Night Owls, set out to retake Mandalore.
Meet you.
Some things never change.
And after a successful first assault on the capital city Sundari, Clone Captain Thrawn had spotted Maul in the Undercity tunnels. Maul and Ahsoka fought, and Ahsoka managed to survive Maul's trap in the tunnels with the help of Commander Rex.
It's her. Come on, we'll trace the signal.
At the same time that Ahsoka, Bo, and Rex were fighting on Mandalore, Anakin was asked to spy on Chancellor Palpatine by the Jedi Council. Ahsoka reported to Obi-Wan about Maul's escape, and Obi-Wan asked Ahsoka to speak to Anakin, as Obi-Wan sensed conflict in his old Padawan.
I can't imagine he is happy about this.
So perhaps it's best that you do speak with him.
The conversation was cut short, as Rex informed Ahsoka that Maul had ambushed the clones and Night Owl forces.
Sorry to interrupt, but there's been an attack.
Ahsoka found Maul in the Grand Palace, and Maul invited Ahsoka to join him and take out Darth Sidious before he took control of the galaxy.
Is the key to everything.
Ahsoka took Maul up on his offer until Maul said that they needed to kill Anakin to rob Sidious of his future apprentice. And with this statement, Maul lost Ahsoka's trust, and the temporary alliance was ended. Despite having reservations with the Jedi Order, Ahsoka still loved her old master, and did not see him becoming the Sith Lord that Maul predicted Anakin would become.
I know, Anakin. Your vision is flawed.
A battle between Sidious's old apprentice and Skywalker's ex-Padawan ensued, Maul having the upper hand, but eventually being bested by Ahsoka. Ahsoka spared Maul's life in spite of his demands to let him die.
Let me go. Let me die!
Maul captured, and his Mandalorians defeated, Ahsoka left Mandalore and Bo-Katan, and joined Rex on a Republic Star Destroyer heading for Coruscant. Ahsoka had a meeting via hologram with the Jedi Council, informing them of Maul's capture, and after an abrupt ending to the meeting by Mace Windu, all but Yoda left the meeting. Yoda asked Ahsoka if she had anything else to say, or a message for Anakin.
More to say, have you? A message for Skywalker, perhaps?
But Ahsoka declined to comment.
No. Master. Thank you. I'll tell him myself when I see him.
During Ahsoka's time on Mandalore, there were so many possibilities that could have changed the course of the galaxy, from the potential team-up between Maul and Ahsoka to take on Darth Sidious, to Ahsoka refusing to let Yoda know that Maul thought Anakin was being groomed by Palpatine. During the final stage of the Clone Wars, Ahsoka's mistrust of the Jedi and her absence as Anakin's Padawan had a colossal part to play in the events of Order 66. With these events playing out slightly differently, Ahsoka could have been a pivotal player in preventing Anakin's turn to the dark side. Aboard the Star Destroyer, heading for Coruscant, Ahsoka felt a disturbance in the Force, the same way Yoda did during the events of Order 66.
What have I done?
Anakin.
She heard the sound of Mace Windu dueling Palpatine, and Anakin joining the dark side. After composing herself, she went to inform Rex. The clone troopers in the ship's bridge, under the command of Order 66, aimed their blasters at Ahsoka. Rex managed to resist Order 66 for a few seconds, and told Ahsoka to find ARC Trooper 5s.
Find him. 5s.
Find him!
Unable to delay the order any longer, Rex fired on Ahsoka, who managed to escape him, Jesse, and the other clones. Ahsoka managed to survive the close quarters shooting from the clones, where much more experienced Jedi, such as Ki-Adi-Mundi, didn't, due to the close quarters training that Anakin had created for her. After escaping the clones, Ahsoka freed Maul, who was about to be executed by the Coruscant Guard troopers. She did this in the hopes of Maul distracting the clones, while she made her escape off the Star Destroyer. Ahsoka was torn between saving her life from the clones, but also not wanting to kill them, and openly questioned whether saving Maul was the right thing to do.
Don't make me regret this.
Ahsoka assembled a small squad of droids to help her, and remembering Rex's words, asked the astromech R7 to search for any information on ARC Trooper 5s.
Okay, Rex. What am I looking for?
R7 found a report from Dr. Nala Se that said 5s had a problem with his inhibitor chip. Rex had made a report upon 5's death, stating that the inhibitor chips could have an ulterior purpose that they did not know about.
There's a possibility that the inhibitor chips the Kaminoans put inside us have a purpose that we don't yet fully understand.
Ahsoka connected the dots, and with her team of droids, she managed to isolate and capture Rex. Ahsoka located Rex's inhibitor chip, and R7 removed it from Rex's brain. And now with Captain Rex on side, they set out to escape the ship together.
So what do? Find our way to the shuttle?
Maul created havoc and destroyed the hyperdrive of the Star Destroyer, and the ship was set to crash into a nearby planet. Rex and Ahsoka took on Jesse and a large battalion of clones, who were still all wearing their Ahsoka-inspired orange-painted helmets. The clones, under Jesse's command, destroyed the astromechs, but Ahsoka and Rex managed to escape the ship as it crashed into the planet, killing all the clones inside. Maul also escaped the Star Destroyer, despite Ahsoka's attempts to stop him. Rex and Ahsoka returned to the crashed Star Destroyer and buried the clone troopers and Ahsoka's lightsabers as the pair went into exile. Chapter 5: The Rebel. Ahsoka, with the repaired R7 and Rex, went to Naboo to attend her good friend Padme Amidala's funeral, and was noticed by Bail Organa.
You shouldn't have come here.
Organa gave Ahsoka a comlink and told her to make contact with him when she was ready to fight the newly formed Empire.
And if you should ever need anything, please contact me.
Ahsoka and Rex then parted ways, with Rex heading to Coruscant to help clone defectors leave the Empire. Ahsoka went to various planets in the Outer Rim and worked with small rural communities to keep a low profile away from the Empire. One day, while Ahsoka was repairing some droids, some young children who were part of Ahsoka's village knocked over some crates, and Ahsoka used the Force to prevent the crates from falling onto the children. One of the farmers reported Ahsoka to the Empire as a Force user, and a Sith Inquisitor was sent to kill her. Many of the people she worked with in the village were slaughtered, and after besting the Inquisitor, Ahsoka realised that she could no longer hide from the Empire. She then contacted Bail Organa and began a new phase of her life as Agent Fulcrum. Ahsoka took the 2 Kyber crystals from the Inquisitor's saber and used the Force to purify the red Kyber crystals, which turned them white. With new lightsabers in hand, Ahsoka fully committed to the rebellion, under the name Agent Fulcrum. As Agent Fulcrum, Ahsoka facilitated the flow of information between separate rebel cells, and one of these cells was the Ghost Crew: Hera Syndulla, Kanan Jarrus, Sabine Wren, Zeb, Ezra Bridger, and the droid Chopper. Ahsoka assisted the group from afar, keeping her anonymity, and only speaking to Hera Syndulla using a voice modulator.
Inspector 2, what's the problem?
No problem, Fulcrum.
Kanan, the former Padawan and leader of the Ghost Cell, was captured and kept aboard Grand Moff Tarkin's Star Destroyer, and the rest of the Ghost Crew, despite Ahsoka's warnings, set out to free Kanan. The Ghost Crew rescued Kanan, but were being overpowered by the Empire in their escape from Tarkin's Star Destroyer. And just in the nick of time, Ahsoka led the Phoenix Squad to rescue the Ghost Crew. Ahsoka revealed her identity to the crew.
Fulcrum.
Ahsoka. My name is Ahsoka Tano.
And over the following months, worked with them at various points to help train Ezra and join them on their missions against the Empire. During the Empire's siege of the planet Lothal, Ahsoka and the Ghost Crew were being tracked by Darth Vader as a way for the Sith Lord to find the Rebellion's Phoenix Squad. Darth Vader attacked the rebels and destroyed many of their fleet. Ahsoka, Kanan and Ezra reached out with the Force to find out who the Sith Lord was. Ahsoka connected with Vader and they sensed each other's presence, and Ahsoka fell unconscious, realising that Vader was in fact her old master, Anakin Skywalker.
The apprentice lives.
With the rebellion damaged severely from Vader's attack, Ahsoka suggested they find new reinforcements, and Ahsoka sent the Ghost Crew to the desert planet Selos. A while later, the Ghost Crew brought a now much older looking Captain Rex, and Ahsoka was very pleased to see her old friend again.
Glad you're still alive.
You too.
Whilst unsure what to do, she watched a holocron of Anakin, and Ahsoka said to Kanan that when she was unsure what to do next, during the Clone Wars, she would speak to Anakin, Kenobi, or Master Yoda. Kanan said that he had communication with Yoda on the Old Jedi Temple in Lothal, so Ahsoka and the Ghost Crew decided to head to the temple in hopes of being guided by Master Yoda. The temple was a difficult place for Ahsoka, as she was no longer a Jedi, and she had visions of her old master.
You failed me! Do you know what I've become?
The Ghost Crew were attacked by more Sith Inquisitors and fled to the planet Malachor.
Find Malachor.
They found an old Sith temple on Malachor, but they were not the only ones in the temple. The 5th brother, 7th sister, and 8th brother, Maul, and Darth Vader were also in the temple. Maul sided with Ahsoka, Kanan, and Ezra temporarily, and the ex-Sith Lord killed the 5th brother and 7th sister with ease. Kanan cut the 8th brother's lightsaber, and whilst trying to escape, his lightsaber broke and he fell to his death. Maul then betrayed Kanan and Ahsoka and blinded Kanan. Ahsoka and Maul then dueled as she protected Kanan. After regaining balance, Kanan connected with the Force at a deeper level, and although being blinded, he managed to throw Maul off the temple. Ahsoka ran to the top, where Ezra was accessing the Sith holocron, and she found Darth Vader about to execute young Bridger. Ahsoka called out to Vader, and the former Padawan and Master battled intensely.
A long-awaited meeting has come at last.
Ahsoka enabled Ezra and Kanan to escape with the Sith holocron as she faced Vader once more. She managed to cut half of Vader's helmet off and saw what remained of her former master. For a brief moment, it seemed like Anakin Skywalker was back, as he could now see Ahsoka uninhibited by his helmet's display.
Ahsoka.
Anakin.
But Vader regained control and continued to fight Ahsoka. The temple closed in on the pair, and from Ezra's viewpoint, it looked as if Ahsoka and possibly Vader had died in an explosion from within the temple. Chapter 6. The Return. 2 years later, after the death of Ezra's master Kanan Jarrus, the Ghost Crew found the World Between Worlds, an ancient realm which contained doorways into the past and future. As described by Palpatine, it was a conduit between the living and the dead.
A conduit between the living and the dead.
The gateway to the World Between Worlds was a painting of the Mortis gods, the father, son, and daughter, who Ahsoka encountered with Anakin and Obi-Wan during the Clone Wars. Ezra managed to enter the World Between Worlds with the help of a Lothwolf. Whilst inside the World Between Worlds, Ezra followed Morai, who led him to a doorway. In the doorway, Ezra saw the last moments of Ahsoka's battle with Vader on Malachor, and when Darth Vader was about to strike Ahsoka down, Ezra instinctively reached out and pulled Ahsoka into the World Between Worlds, saving her from Vader's killing blow.
Ahsoka?
Ezra?
So essentially, the World Between Worlds is a dimension outside of time, where Ezra changed a moment 2 years ago in the past, and brought Ahsoka into the present. Ezra and Ahsoka went to another doorway, where he saw the moments preceding Kanan Jarrus' death.
I can reach him.
Ezra.
And Ahsoka urged Ezra not to reach out and grab his master, like he did with her, as Kanan sacrificed himself in an explosion that would have otherwise killed Ezra and the Ghost Crew.
Kanan found the moment when he was needed most, and he did what he had to do.
They encounter another doorway that turned out to be a trick from Palpatine, who was trying to gain access to the World Between Worlds.
Ahsoka Tano, mine at last.
Ahsoka and Ezra split up and prevented Palpatine from entering the realm. Ahsoka realised that she couldn't return through the same portal as Ezra, and goes through a different doorway to him, and ends up back on Malachor, the same day that she fought Vader.
May the Force be with you, Ezra Bridger.
And Ezra leaves the World Between Worlds and returns to the present day, and with the help of Sabine Wren, they seemingly close the World Between Worlds for good. So both Ezra and Ahsoka return to the same point in time that they entered the World Between Worlds, and in so not affecting past, present, or future events. Years later, after Palpatine and the Empire were defeated, Ahsoka returned to Lothal and met with Sabine Wren, where they vowed to bring Ezra home.
Ezra's out there somewhere, and it's time to bring him home.
Chapter 7. The Search. During the liberation of Lothal, Ezra Bridger used Purgle whales to transport Grand Admiral Thrawn and himself to uncharted space.
And remember, the Force will be with you, always.
And since that event, neither Ezra or Thrawn were seen again. The search for Ezra and Thrawn brought Ahsoka to the planet Corvus, in the hopes of finding someone who could bring Ahsoka closer to Thrawn. Din Djarin and Grogu were also on Corvus, as Din had been told Ahsoka's location by Bo-Katan.
You'll find Ahsoka Tano. Tell her you were sent by Bo-Katan.
The Mandalorian and the ex-Jedi teamed up, freed the city, and Ahsoka defeated Magistrate Morgan Elsbeth, who was working for Thrawn.
Now tell me, where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?
Din Djarin wanted Ahsoka to train Grogu as a Jedi, but Ahsoka refused, seeing Grogu's attachment to Din, and how this made Grogu vulnerable to the dark side of the Force.
I've seen what such feelings can do to a fully trained Jedi Knight. I will not start this child down that path.
Ahsoka told Din to go to the Seeing Stone on Typhon, where Grogu would possibly be able to reach a Jedi who would be able to train him. A while later, Ahsoka went to Luke Skywalker's new Jedi Temple to visit Grogu, and she once again met Din Djarin. Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker discussed the bond between Din and Grogu, and Ahsoka wished Luke well, saying,
Trust your instincts.
Will I see you again?
Perhaps.
And this concludes the events of Ahsoka Tano's life, up to the start of the Ahsoka show. Ahsoka is one of the galaxy's most important players during the Republic, the Empire, and the post-Empire era. From Anakin's Padawan, surviving and saving Captain Rex from Order 66, to being Agent Fulcrum, and entering the world between worlds during the years of the Empire. And in the years following the Empire's fall, she embarks on a mission to hunt down Thrawn and find Ezra Bridger. Who knows what the Ahsoka show will have in hold for the former Jedi? But on the channel, we will be covering every episode, with the first episode coming out on August the 23rd. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please consider subscribing to Film Club. I cover all the best films and shows around, with the occasional video essay like this one. Thank you, and see you again.